Jennifer is a very amateur motorcycle rider, but she's expressed an interest in becoming more proficient. And I think that's an interest that we should indulge, don't you?
Yes.
But it's difficult to find a motorcycle that will do what we want it to do. The majority of our riding is going to be off-road, but I also want the motorcycle to be street legal. So it primarily needs to be a dirt bike, but I also want to be able to send you down to the store.
Wait!
So that kind of limits our choices. I've narrowed it down to 4 categories. And we're going to look at these categories Mario Kart style.
Wow, you complicate things.
I've thought a lot about this.
I appreciate that.
First category is the modern dual sport motorcycle. These are things like the CRF 450L, the KTM 350 EXC, and even my Husqvarna TE 250. Well, usually when I point, the camera goes where I want it to.
Not this time.
The TE 250 fits that category too. This type of motorcycle is primarily a dirt bike, but the manufacturer converted it to go on the street. They have modern technology and they're really fast. For speed, the modern dual sport gets a 9. But for size, I've got a cheat sheet here. For size, they won't work well for somebody who's 5 foot 4 inches tall. The seat is very high and the wheelbase is big. So I gave that a 2. I've got it all here. They're very lightweight for what they are. They weigh between 250 and 300 pounds. But when we look at it from Jennifer's point of view, they only score a 3. For comparison, I weigh 165 pounds and my KDX, which I'm very comfortable on, weighs 240 pounds. For a motorcycle to have the same proportion to Jennifer's body weight, it needs to weigh about 160 pounds.
Are they converting right now to find out how much I weigh?
It's too heavy.
You may be 5 pounds fatter.
Whatever the case, it's too heavy. It would be like me riding a 500-pound motorcycle, which I could do, but it wouldn't be very comfortable. Since you're a new rider and you're very timid, we need something that inspires confidence.
Yes.
It's bad enough to fall, which you might do, you might fall.
I will fall.
But do you know what's worse than falling?
Getting stuck?
Falling and then having to flag down your husband to get off of his motorcycle, come on over, and unstick your handlebar from the mud. Handling. Modern dual sports, from Jennifer's point of view, get a 7. Pretty high, but the suspension isn't set up for somebody who weighs however much you weigh, so it doesn't get full marks. The last metric is beginner friendly. This is things like how often do you have to maintain the motorcycle, and is the power delivery smooth or is it abrupt? Modern dual sport gets a 5 there. So when you add all that up, it comes to 26 points. You don't have to keep notes for this. It means it's not the perfect motorcycle for you. Second category, and we'll go through these quicker now, is the classic dual sport. This is old technology that's been kind of put out to pasture, but the manufacturers still churn these things out because enough people buy them to make it viable. This is the XT250 from Yamaha, the TW200, and the Honda CRF 230L. They're fast enough, they get a 7. The size is a little bit more suited to you. The seat height is a little bit lower, but they still have about the same wheel size and wheelbase. For weight, the classic dual sport gets a 2. It is a little bit heavier than the modern dual sport. So what you make up in size, since the seat is a little bit lower, you give up in the excess poundage. The handling gets a solid 4. This is dirt bike handling from 30 years ago. Instead of having this much room for the front wheel to go up in the forks, like the modern dual sport, we're working with about half. They are beginner friendly though. They're old-fashioned air-cooled motors that don't need any maintenance. The first oil change you do on these motorcycles is probably 10 years from when you bought it and you decide that you want to sell the motorcycle, and when the person checks the oil, when they come to look at it, you don't want it to be crusty. And the power delivery is very, very smooth. They're just air-cooled 4-stroke engines. I'm sorry that I'm putting you to sleep. I think that this will be useful to somebody. And this is all the thought I've put into this.
I appreciate
For
it.
you.
I love you.
So that's the classic Duel Sport. Third category, and there's only 4 categories total, is the vintage small enduro motorcycle. This is a segment of motorcycles that doesn't exist anymore. It's things like the KE100 Kawasaki and the DT125 Yamaha. These are basically 90% scale versions of full-size motorcycles. They're shorter, they're lighter, and they had 2-stroke engines. For speed, they get a 5. The size is perfect for you.
Ooh.
You would fit very well on a KE100. They're lightweight, they weigh less than 200 pounds, so I think that you could manage something like that. The problem is the handling. The modern Duel Sport has this much room for the wheel to go up and down. The classic Duel Sport has this much, and the old-fashioned miniature enduro motorcycle about 4 inches of travel in the front and rear suspension. So it's good for gravel roads or maybe a skating rink, but anything rougher than that, watch out. It could get exciting really quickly in a bad way.
Great.
And keeping that in mind, just in case you were riding one of these machines and you saw a big pothole up ahead, don't worry, the brakes aren't any good either. Old drum brakes. So that's the justification for the 2. But they are beginner friendly. They were 2-stroke engines with oil injection. You never had to adjust the valves because they didn't have any. You just pour in gas, pour in oil, and drive around forever. Last category is a newer small trail bike that I would modify to be street legal. The KLX 140 or the Yamaha TTR 125 are in this category. The speed is really the downfall of these motorcycles. They have 4-stroke, small displacement engines. Your skill would overcome what the engine had to offer really quickly.
My skill?
You would start to feel like you needed a little bit more. But the size is very good. They are the perfect size for you. I gave them a 9 for size.
Oh.
They're about the same size as the vintage small enduro, scaled down version of a standard motorcycle. The weight is really on the edge. These weigh a little bit more than the old enduro motorcycles because they have 4-stroke engines rather than 2-stroke. And because the suspension is a little bit better, the forks are a little fatter, the frame is a little stiffer, and that all adds a few pounds. But they are very beginner friendly. It's smooth, it's not going to get you in trouble if you don't understand how to work the throttle, and they don't really require a lot of maintenance. Trustworthy technology. But it's still not the perfect motorcycle for you.
What to do?
I have a solution. I won't tell you what the motorcycle is yet, but here's how it scores on the Mario Kart scale. High marks everywhere, except the last one. Do you see that number 2 at beginner friendly?
Wonderful!
It's perfect in everything except that the engine is savage.
So you've given me a challenge.
I'm going to give you a challenge. The question is, are you up for it?
I'm up for it.
Depending on the response I get to this message, we might have a busy day tomorrow.
Okay. Where does this person live?
Far.
How far is far?
Couple hours and a half. How's that?
Okay.
Oh, actually, I'll sweeten the deal.
Oh.
Here we go.
Commitment.
I've got a message.
Okay.
I predict that they came back at 3,600.
What was the asking price?
3,800. And they said that they were a little bit negotiable.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, 600. 3,600.
And at 3,600, I give the deal a 50-50 chance of going through. Because if they came back at 3,600, they almost certainly We'll go down to $3,500, but that's a little bit more than I'm willing to spend. Ready to see?
Okay.
Wow. 3,500. Okay. So here we go. Final stretch. I'm getting nervous. Might have to come back to this. I've got it. That's our deal. They'll go for it. They'll go for it.
Development?
I don't know yet.
Yes.
Oh yeah! Spoke with the partner. The partner says, okay.
Howdy, partner.
We got plans for tomorrow. Hope you're in the mood for a drive.
It's worth it.
I'm not going to reveal what it is yet, or my motivations, our motivations for getting this particular motorcycle, because my mind is on the destination right now. So I will drive, and when you see me again, hopefully we'll have something in the back of the truck.
Should we give him a little hint?
Something green in the back of the truck.
We got it.
Right there. Tell you all about it when we get home after the long drive home. All right, we made it home. Show you what we got. 2017 KX100. How do you feel sitting on there?
I'm happy.
I did the test drive. I made the purchase, so this is her first chance of getting acquainted with the motorcycle. Before you try to start it, get off the motorcycle and lay it down on one side. Imagine that you just fell off, you're in a rut. Now what do you do now? Do you yell for help, or can you pick it up?
Oh, I'll pick it up.
Can you pick it up? That is why I chose this motorcycle. Well, one of the reasons. So if we can somehow make this street legal and get you running around on it, it will be the ultimate miniature mayhem machine. Will you let me ride it sometimes?
I will.
Next time, she's going on her first ride, and then we'll get to work on a motorcycle.
Thanks for watching.